People think RVs are maybe not built up to quality like they should be.
Front frame cracking and sidewalls cracking and things like that.
This is a hot take. This is something that is my opinion that maybe not everyone necessarily agrees with. The roof actually gets some of the worst of it.
Wow. So I've likely been getting some water intrusion there?
Yes, sir, definitely in this corner.
Oh, wow. Yikes. Well, you're finding all kinds of things.
Most of these screws, see, they're not even tight.
My fiance, Cheri, she doesn't like me going up and down this ladder because she said, oh, it's moving around all the time.
Yeah. Maybe after you're married a couple of years, she won't mind.
This wasn't a COVID build.
I've seen things. It's like farmers. I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two kind of thing.
One of the biggest things that people notice as soon as they get coaches are, man, my trim fell down, my wall panel popped off, lost a cabinet door, lost a light, things like that. So what's happening is...
I'm Tom.
And I'm Cheri.
And we're EnjoyTheJourney.Life.
One of the myths that we hear a lot of in the RV industry is that there's a lot of poor craftsmanship, poor quality coming out of the factory itself. And in all reality, I don't want to say that that's incorrect, but I do think that about 50% of the time you can relate all these issues to pulling the RV down the road, whether it's going just to your local campground or going across the country. You can put these through some serious potholes, some serious chucking, some serious bouncing. And what that does is it creates earthquake-like conditions inside of the RV. If you put your home through an earthquake, half of what you put your RV through, I think you'd be very surprised on what would fall apart in your home, not just your RV. So one of the biggest things that you can do to help protect your RV against earthquake-like conditions and really help improve the longevity of your coach would be invest in the suspension. That's the foundation of the house. We have a lot of good options, the IS being the absolute best. So you're gonna really help the longevity of your coach and the quality of your ride. And then the frustrations. You're not gonna be going and setting at a dealership for wall panels and loose trim and cabinets and all things like that. One of the biggest things that people notice as soon as they get coaches are, man, my trim fell down, my wall panel popped off, lost a cabinet door, lost a light, things like that. So what's happening is, on a standard system, as soon as it bottoms out, all that energy is being transferred up into the coach, and it literally causes an earthquake inside of the rig. And that's why you see all these things going so wrong.
So for more about suspension, we're going to bring in RV expert. It's Josh, the RV nerd from Bish's RV.
That's being a little generous.
Great to catch you here at Alliance RVs, and you've got like some words to say about suspension, right?
Yeah, something. I've been in it for a minute. I've been doing this for the better part of about 15 years now, and I won't call myself an expert or an authority, but I've seen things. It's like farmers. I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two kind of thing. And if you want your RV to hold together going down the road and you want to keep it out of the shop, one of the first things you should look at is making sure you have a good suspension package, like one of these MORrydes or anything of that nature, because basically all the shock and road violence, this is a rolling earthquake. Anything that's not absorbed here has to get translated up. Every nut, bolt, widget, fastener, all has to deal with that violence. And then eventually the roof actually gets some of the worst of it, which is where a lot of leaks actually develop on the roof, is actually because the roof got shook around so much it pulled and split seals. A lot of roof failures start at ground level. So if you want to enjoy your RV and stay out of the shop, spend a couple bucks, put some sneakers on the kid.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Josh, because in talking with MORryde, I had this epiphany that it's like people think RVs are maybe not built up to quality like they should be, but it's not so much the RV build, it's the bad roads out there.
You know, to be fair, there are a couple sins on both sides of the equation, but the thing that I also really believe after a lot of years, and this is a hot take, this is something that is my opinion that maybe not everyone necessarily agrees with, but RV makers and RV dealers don't set the market, they reflect the market. Things that are built to sell, and they build the thing that is most likely to sell. And a suspension package upgrade is a couple $100 that a lot of RVers, especially first timers, they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know why this fifth wheel and costs less than that fifth wheel, and because it's missing a couple bucks here, but they don't realize that's the most expensive couple bucks they ever saved.
Well, hey, Josh, thanks so much. I know you're filming a lot of stuff today. Thanks so much for coming in here and sharing that. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, thank you.
And we'll throw a link if you've never heard of this guy, which I don't think that's possible, but we'll throw a link to their channel down below so you can check them out.
Well, thank you very much. Hey, everybody, be safe out there, all right?
So this display does a great job at showing all of our suspension options. We'll start here in the center. So this steel equalizer is what you see come factory on a lot of coaches. So that's going to give you about 1.5 inches to 1 3/4 inches of wheel travel. At MORryde, we believe a house is only as strong as its foundation. Weak foundation, weak house. Strong foundation, strong house. So in order to do that, the foundation of your trailer comes from the suspension. Our first upgrade option, we kind of have a good, better, best scenario here. This CRE 3000 is going to give you 3 inches of wheel travel, hence the 3000. This is also equipped with our heavy-duty wet bolt shackle kits. So these shackles are twice as thick as what comes from the factory. And then instead of a dry bolt, we now have grease zerks that we can use to grease and make those wet bolts. We did away with the plastic bushings. We put copper bushings in there. And again, we're gonna get 3 inches of travel. We've got rubber in here, so we're gonna help dampen some of that energy. We believe rubber does an excellent job at dampening energy and depleting it before it transfers up into the coach. So this is 3 is better than 2. 4 is better than 3. So this is what we call the All-Trek. It looks very similar to the CRE 3000 in shape. However, it is a little bit taller. You can tell just by looking at it, there's a lot more rubber there. And then you've got a larger travel slot. So you're going to get 4 inches of wheel travel, which 3 is better than 2, 4 is better than 3. So we're kind of going good, better. As far as that goes, this again is equipped with all of our wet bolts and heavy-duty shackle kits. If you wanted to help strengthen your frame hangers, so we make this product that's called an X Factor. So what this does is it goes between the whole width of the coach, and it hooks from one hanger to the other. So that way we're not independently twisting on each single hanger. You're actually going to lock them together, and then you're going to have that reinforcement there to help it from swaying so much. If you ever broken one off, you would understand why that's important. So it's important that we lock these together and keep them from twisting and doing all kinds of crazy things like that. So again, 2 inches of wheel travel, 3 inches of wheel travel, 4 inches of wheel travel. These are all utilizing leaf springs still.
And we are working with MORryde to test out their products and give them feedback, like this one right here, the X-Spray Stabilizer. We love this, and if you're interested in any of the other awesome MORryde products, we can actually save you 7% using the code EnjoyTheJourney. And for more install videos, how-to videos, adventures, and more, make sure you smash that subscribe button so you catch all of our videos.
So we kind of have our good, better, which leads you to believe that there is a best, and that is what we believe to be the independent suspension. So that's down here. So now instead of our frame hanger being 3 inches, we go to about 1.5 feet. So this is essentially our frame hanger at this point. It's just a completely different looking system. These axles are so much heavier. They're built so much more durably than what you would have with a standard tube axle. So we've got our disc brake mounted on the end. We've got our rubber shear spring. So we talked a little bit about rubber in the first 2 options. You've got a ton of rubber on this. So the rubber is solely what you're riding on. That's what's giving you your 5.5 inches of wheel travel. We also have a shock absorber on here. This also helps dampen energy, and it keeps down pressure on the wheel so it doesn't want to power how while you're going down the road. We have this piece right here is what we call our beam assembly. That's essentially our linkage. So when we pivot, we're going this way. So the tire can bounce up and down 5.5 inches before it's bottoming out. This torque bracket is what we use to align the system. So on a standard tube axle system, you cannot align the axles. With this, you can. So it's an automotive style alignment.
So Hayden, the roads are really crappy out there.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you can afford it, the IS would be the way to go.
Absolutely.
And so how much could you say improvement with these other ones would you get, like just going from this to that?
Yep.
I mean, what, 50% better?
So, in a
is it-
percentage standpoint, I really don't know how to rate it.
Okay.
I just know how to go from wheel travel. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say 50% because we're going to go from 2 to 3 inches of wheel travel. If you wanted to look at wheel travel as your degree of measurement, absolutely. And then this is going to be 100% better because you're literally getting twice as much wheel travel as you would with the standard. But then you're also looking at the heavier shackles, the wet bolts, and then you've got actual rubber in there to dampen energy.
Yeah, and on our first RV, we actually had these start to stretch.
Okay. Yep.
They didn't break.
They were wallowing out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So those bushings in here, those plastic bushings go bad very early on. They wear out, and then you're actually going to see wear and tear. I actually have a demo over here that shows that. So on here we can see, and here too, you can see that these holes are wallered out. So that's what happens when those bushings give out, which is fine because the bolt covers it up just like this, so you wouldn't see it. It's not a problem. It's not a problem until it's a problem.
Right.
Then you understand why the MORryde shackles are so much better. So we're going to look at the difference in thicknesses there. So it's twice as thick. Again, we're doing away with the plastic bushings that go in between. We've got these bronze bushings that go in between there. You won't wear these out.
How does this help with the longevity of your RV?
Yeah, so that goes back to what we talked about here at the beginning of this segment with the strong foundation, strong house, weak foundation, and weak house. If you go down south, Louisiana is a great example. The city itself is below sea level, so there's no basements. You'll have houses that are doing this, all kinds of weird stuff because they have weak foundations. So strengthening the foundation of the RV is one of the most crucial things that you can do if you plan on keeping it for a while. I will say that RVs are they're known right now currently for being a little bit less quality than what people think they should be. And they fall apart faster now. It's not always due to the craft, it's a lot of times due to the roads that you're putting them through. So every time you pull your RV down the road, you're essentially putting it through an earthquake, especially if you're on I-80 or some of these major highways that are just trashed. With the IS, you can take that shock out of there. You're not going to have as much energy going into the coach. You're not going to have as many issues with the structure of it, walls popping off, cabinets falling down, lights falling down. I've seen all kinds of stuff where people have noted they've had things break while traveling. So that's in part of the suspension, because if the suspension cannot handle the roads, it's constantly sending shock up into the trailer's getting airborne. I've seen that going down the road. That's just absolutely shaking the snot out of your trailer. You do not want that as far as terms of longevity goes. You're gonna lose a lot of life in your trailer.
Well, and the frame as well.
Yep. Yeah, you see people have front frame cracking and sidewalls cracking and things like that. A lot of that's due to the stress because you have a weak foundation on your trailer.
Wow, you guys got to get this stuff standard, on every RV.
Yep. Yeah, I think if every RV in the world had an IS on it, people would not think the roads are as bad, so to say. When they get to their campsite, they wouldn't have things all over the place.
Well, and what you're saying is there'd be a lot fewer complaints about RVs and quality issues, right?
Yep. A lot of it's not necessarily done at the manufacturing level. A lot of it's done after they leave.
So that's almost like a myth then, right? So a myth maybe in the RV industry is that there's poor quality builds in RVs, and it's not that. It's the roads we're driving on.
Yeah, and that's not to say that it doesn't go on, because I do think that there is a little bit of that.
Right.
But I think a lot of people correlate issues that they have 6-8 months after they've bought the rig to the build, when in reality, it's probably the roads you're driving on, and all that energy getting transferred up into the trailer.
It's 1 year later after having the independent suspension installed,
and it is a true game changer. No more broken dishes, a much smoother ride with the RV, no trim falling down, all of that stuff. I really do feel like it will make the life of the RV last longer. And if you are interested in independent suspension, if you set up an appointment and use our code Enjoy the Journey, you can actually get $100 toward any of the other awesome MORryde products that are out there when you're getting that installation, or use it for a credit in the future. This is truly one of the best RV upgrades that you can do. Tires seem to be having nice even wear as well.
Again, suspension, you know, think about it. You're putting 50, 100K or more into your RV suspension. You need to make that investment so your RV lasts a lot longer. So make sure you check out MORryde. And for our next video, you can click right over here.